What's up, guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's Zari, and if you don't know me, my name's Zari, and today I am back with another video. So when I originally recorded this video, I did have like a video of me sitting down and talking, but I feel like the energy I gave y'all wasn't what I was supposed to give y'all. I feel like you guys deserve a lot better than me at my worst. So I went ahead and re-recorded it, and I'm just gonna do it like this. I'll just show you guys pictures and videos if that's okay with you guys. So before we get into the video, subscribe to me first of all if you want to, and second of all, if you haven't seen this anime and you intend on watching it, there's gonna be spoilers because it's an anime summary. Though if you ask me, this anime is pretty old, so if you haven't seen it by now, you probably have no intentions on ever watching it. So with that being said, let's go ahead and just get into the video. So our main character is Yuki Cross. Now, the first thing that we know about her is that her earliest memory of being a kid is she was standing in the snow and some vampire tries to attack her, and then this character, who is one of our main characters named Kaname Curran, he comes in and he saves her. And so because of that, she has this big crush on him. Now, Kaname Curran is actually a pure-blooded vampire. Now back to Yuki. Since she obviously has no parents, she was adopted by Cayenne Cross. That's how she got her name, Yuki Cross. But Cayenne Cross, he is the principal of a school that he created. He created a school for vampires and non-vampires to coexist. And he did this in the form of vampires are going to be the night class and humans are going to be the day class. Now, don't confuse them by their uniforms, because for some reason the white is the night for vampires and the black, the dark uniform, is for the humans. It was actually the opposite, which I don't even want to get into that. But yeah, like their uniforms, that's how they go. So students in black are humans, the students in white are vampires. Kaname Curran, like I said before, who is a pure-blooded vampire, he is the leader of all the other vampires. So unlike humans, they just go to school, but vampires, like, they're a clan, with Kaname being the top, because in this society, in anime, vampires have ranks. I guess the highest rank that you could be is a pure-blood vampire, which is very, very rare. And then you have like aristocrats, which are just like regular vampires that have some type of standing in society. And then you have your lowest vampires, which are level E vampires. And those guys, they were vampires who were once human, but because of a process that they have, they didn't complete the process, and so then they degenerate to a level E vampire, which I'm going to explain a little bit further. But going back to Yuki, like I said, she's adopted, but she also has Zero, who is also adopted. So Cayenne Cross adopted Zero because Zero was in another situation where his whole family was murdered by vampires. So he doesn't have a family. So this is how we have a whole love triangle between Kaname Curran, the vampire, and Zero. He's also a vampire, but we're going to get back to that. When they start this anime, it's basically just her and Zero taking care of the interactions between the humans and the vampires. Now, keep in mind that the humans don't know that the vampires are vampires. But since the vampires are vampires, they're supposed to be very beautiful. So the humans and the girls specifically are really attracted to the vampires. So they're not cautious the way that they should be cautious. And that's why Yuki and Zero are in charge of guarding the students and making sure that they're safe and that there's no altercations. But in the first episode, we actually do end up having this big old altercation because these two human girls, they want to be thirsty and take pictures of night class, and one of them gets hurt, and so the vampires come out because they smell the blood and they want some of that blood. Yuki wants to interfere. They don't want that to happen. For some reason, like all of the typical protagonists in vampire movies and shows, Yuki has some good smelling blood, and they're all attracted to her blood. But Kaname protects her with a passion. He does not like anybody messing with her, and he scolds his vampires for even daring to look at her like a snicker. Like, they don't take that. So one thing that we do know is from the altercation that they have, Kaname obviously has feelings for Yuki. Like, you can tell by the way he treats her, by the way he acts, by the way he doesn't let anybody touch her. He treats everybody else like they don't exist, but when it comes to her, he always puts her first. On the second episode, they have what I call Valentine's Day. They don't call it Valentine's Day, but that's what it is, essentially. And so all the girls want to give the vampires their chocolates. And Yuki has her own chocolate that she wants to give to Kaname, but she feels like she's insignificant to him. She feels like her chocolates don't matter compared to all the other girls. So Zero ends up giving the chocolate to Kaname for her because he cares about her feelings. He does not like Kaname though. Zero hates vampires. Like, it's the typical trope of, you guys all know, like, Twilight. Edward loves Bella. Taylor Lautner loves Bella. I forget what his actual character name was. Was it Jake? I don't know. But the two guys, they love Bella, but they hate each other. It's the same thing in this show. Zero hates Kaname with a passion. And not just Kaname, but he hates all vampires because of the vampires that traumatized him in his, when he was younger. Here's the gag. Due to the event that happened to him when he was a kid, he actually is a vampire. Zero, he had a twin brother, and he had two parents, obviously mom and dad. And this pure-blooded vampire decided to wipe out the whole family. And she only left Zero alive, but she bit Zero. So only pure-blooded vampires can turn people into vampires. And if that pure-blooded vampire doesn't share their blood, it's basically dooming them to a fate of turning into a level E, which again is like a mindless zombie. They have no control over their thirst, and they don't even think like people anymore. Since that day, Zero has been fighting the urge to degenerate into a level E vampire, but he's still a vampire. And obviously, like I said, Yuki has that good smelling blood. So when they're in the bathroom together and she's joking and she's playing with him because she doesn't know that he's a vampire, he's been hiding it. He is attracted to the scent of her blood, and that is the dilemma that we have so far, because obviously he's so hypocritical that he hates vampires, but he is a vampire, so he hates himself because he wants to eat her, and he knows he wants to eat her, but he just doesn't want to like cope with it the same way like Edward really wanted to kill Bella the whole first movie, if you actually read the books. But that translates to I love you for some reason. Like, yes, I want to eat you, but for some reason that means I love you. I don't know. Don't ask me. Because Yuki and Zero grew up together as kids, she feels like she's responsible for him. She feels like she needs to be with him all the fucking time. And my bad. So when Zero runs off into town, for whatever reason that it was, she feels like it's her business to follow him. And in the process of sticking her nose where it just does not belong, she runs into a little boy holding a balloon, and she decides that she wants to help him. First of all, if the movie It ain't taught me nothing else, you do not mess with little kids that are by their lonesome with red balloons. Who does that? Who like, no, like at this point it's natural selection. It was all a trap, and they basically just wanted to eat her, level E vampires. And there's a big altercation because Zero has to save her. The vampires end up calling him a comrade, and this is a confliction to him because, again, he hates vampires. The fact that these vampires, these loathsome, evil creatures, see him as an ally is revolting, and it just farther makes his character into a state of like mental distress. Like, he's just not okay at this point. And because of that, he isn't able to help her the way that he's supposed to help her. So Kaname steps in to help her, and this we kind of see that Kaname has a power over other vampires by just his presence alone. Like, yes, Kaname is the leader of the vampires, but being a pureblood is very, very rare. So a lot of times he don't even gotta move. Like, he strikes fear into the hearts of other vampires because they recognize his royalty, I guess, like how important he is. But he's actually, even among purebloods, the strongest. So we'll get into that a little later. This episode is where Yuki, in her blissful ignorance, just keeps pushing up on Zero, constantly just bothering him to the point that he just couldn't control his desires to bite her, and he actually does bite her. And this is where she learns that he's a vampire, and at first she's like, whoa, we ain't never did that before. Why you thought today was the day to do that? Like, no. Oh no, okay, no. She was really upset at what he did. But obviously, being the heroine, being the protagonist, she later decides that it's her duty to give him blood so that he doesn't die off into a mindless zombie. Now, because of this whole altercation that went on, Kaname wants Zero to be transferred to the night class. Kaname is sick of Zero's crap, especially because when a vampire bites a human or like any type of biting goes on, vampires can sense that. So the minute that Zero bit Yuki, Kaname felt that. He knew right away what happened, and obviously because he has feelings for her, it just pissed him off. Like, you can't see it in his face because this guy makes no like emotions, but you can tell that he's angry and he wants Zero like out into a different class. Now Yuki doesn't want that to happen, so she's just fighting with Kaname, fighting with her dad. She thinks that Zero should be able to be with her even though she's not taking responsibility for her actions. At the end of the day, no matter who he is a vampire, and he's going to hurt somebody one day, so you have to take precautions. But she doesn't even want to. Like, she just wants to torture him by forcing him to be around other human students and risk not being able to control himself. So because of that, they put a spell on him that only she can control. So basically, like, if he gets out of control, she can strike him down, and they have to make a pact where like if he ever turns into a level E, she has to kill him and like all that yada 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 yada. But she does not want to let him go, so she's like, oh, I'm never gonna let that happen. I'm never gonna let you turn into a level E vampire. I'm never gonna give up on you, Zero. I love you, Zero. But she doesn't say I love you, but basically that's what she's like. That's the energy she's throwing out into the universe. The headmaster, aka her foster father, decides to send them out on town. So her and Zero goes out, but Zero ends up having some issue because, I don't know, I think some girls were I don't know. He runs out once again, and once again Yuki feels like it's her business to run after him, and this is how she gets herself into trouble all over again. She runs into a group of vampires that want to kill her. So this time it's Kaname's students that save her instead of Zero because incompetent. And due to that, that's how they get her and Zero to attend a birthday party, because they're like, oh, do you want to know why I saved you? And she's like, why did you save me? I don't know, maybe because y'all go to school together. Like, what? Maybe because Kaname, who's deeply in love with you, controls the vampires like they're pieces of a chessboard. I don't know, put two and two together. So anyway, they end up at this birthday party, and the only thing really significant about this moment is that he's very flirty with her. Like none of this was necessary. He didn't need to drag her here, but he did, and I feel like he did that just to lay a claim on her. As a result of Zero's vampirism antics, they dispatch his old master to watch over him. So his old master ends up being a teacher at the school as a like decoy. But the only real purpose for him being there is so that he can kill Zero if Zero decides to act out. Now, of course, he's seen as a threat in the show, but he's not really a threat because deep down inside, his master loves and cares about Zero. But turning into a vampire for a vampire hunter, because if I haven't mentioned before, Zero's family is from a legendary hunter family. So for a vampire hunter to become a vampire, that's like the biggest disrespect. Like, that's the last thing. Like, they would rather turn into frogs than turn into vampires. So death is better than bondage, I guess. Now, Yuki protects Zero so that his master doesn't kill him, but again, his master was never going to kill him. So after that, they end up isolating Zero, and she makes a big fuss because she wants to see him. So this is where she makes the official decision that she's gonna allow him to drink her blood because he can't drink blood tablets. I don't know what in the Elena Gilbert is going on here, but for some reason he can't drink blood tablets and he has to drink off of her. So they start, like, I don't know, eating each other. Okay, he's eating her. But yes, it makes Kaname mad, and this is a forbidden thing at the school. You're not supposed to do this, but Kaname is the type of guy where he puts her feelings above his. So as long as she's happy, he's gonna respect what she wants to do. But at the end of the day, she feels guilty because she has feelings for Kaname, and she knows that she shouldn't be giving her blood to anybody but Kaname. But she's just like, who cares? We get to have flashbacks of Yuki's childhood. After Kaname saved her, he was still in her life. He would visit her constantly, and she really, really loved him, and she was very, very open with him. But he felt like she was too open with him. He felt like she held him so highly that she felt like when she was with him, she didn't need to worry about anything. And he didn't like that, because he feels like, girl, yes, I'm here for you, but you need to take care of yourself, and you need to be cautious of vampires, because not all vampires are like me. So he tries to teach her a lesson purposely by setting it up so that she catches him drinking blood off of a vampire girl. And this moment is what ultimately makes her distant from him. So she still likes him, but she doesn't trust him. She's kind of scared of him, and she fears him a little bit. But I don't know, it's kind of stupid to me, because it's like saying, oh, the people who work for SeaWorld are confused when killer whales kill trainers, but they're killer whales. So in that same sense, Kaname's a vampire. Just because you like him doesn't mean that he's not a vampire, and he's not capable of mass murder or drinking blood. And he didn't even kill anybody. All he did was drink this girl's blood, and all of a sudden, like, oh my gosh, like, I don't see him the same anymore. But you know what? It's none of my business. So now, here's where things get good. We're getting to the ending of season 1. There's a new transfer student. Her name is Maria, but in reality, she's actually the pure-blooded vampire who killed Zero's family in the first place, and is the reason he is turning into a degenerating vampire. But the gag is, she's using the body of somebody else, not her own body, so not a lot of people know. I will say that the headmaster and Zero's old master, and Kaname obviously, they know. But Zero can sense it, but he isn't quite sure. And so when he finally figures it out, this is where everything like climaxes. And we get to meet Ichiru. Now Ichiru is Zero's twin brother. Obviously the big plot twist in this show, well, not the biggest, but one of the big plot twists in this show, is that Ichiru never died. So like I said, the pure-blooded vampire, she murdered his whole family. At least that's what he thought. She killed his parents, but she didn't kill Ichiru. On the contrary, when they were little kids, Ichiru was actually really weak and fragile, since they came from a hunter's family as twins. And there's this whole superstition that, you know, hunters' twins are cursed, and that one twin is supposed to eat the other twin in the womb. Like, it's just so complicated. So basically, if you're from a hunter family and you have twins, it's bad luck, essentially. So that's why Zero came out super strong and Ichiru came out weak, because apparently in the womb, Zero took Ichiru's strength. So since he wasn't strong, his whole family babied Ichiru. And I think that out of jealousy and envy, he just hated his parents, and he secretly hated Zero for that. So when he met this pure-blooded princess, she was crying over the loss of a man that she loved. And ironically, the man that she loved was killed by Zero's parents. So that's why she killed Zero's family. It wasn't because she was bored. It was out of revenge. She ended up taking a liking to Ichiru, so that's why she kept Ichiru around as a human. And she turned Zero into a vampire as basically a FU. Like, it was a curse, really. Like, she didn't do it for fun. She thought that it would be fun to torture him than to just kill him. And now Zero finally gets to confront Ichiru. But you know what? If you want my personal opinion on this, if ungrateful child was a person, it would be Ichiru. I don't know how being babied and being coddled and being cared for translate to I hate all you motherfuckers. Like, I don't know how that happens. Like, how do you hate the people who cared for you and loved you? He acts like his parents abandoned him or hated him or treated him badly. Like, everybody in his family loved him and he just set them up to die. I was like, you know what? This is why I can't have no kids, because kids be doing the darnest things. Anyway, going back to the story and the point. The vampire girl, Shizuku was her real name, but Maria is the name of the body she took and decided to possess. Zero, because she turned him into a vampire, Zero cannot kill her. You can't kill your master. This is how it works in this anime. Whoever created you or whoever is responsible for you, you can't turn on them no matter what. So Zero could not kill her, but he did manage enough willpower to shoot her and save Yuki. And so this brings up the perfect opportunity for Kaname to sneak in and kill her. And in doing so, taking her powers and abilities, making him twice as strong. Now the issue is that for some reason, by some society, it is a crime to kill pure-blooded vampires. So after he kills her, he pretends like he don't know who killed her. Like he's like, we have to figure out who killed her. This is a crime. This person must be caught, knowing damn well he was the one who did it. Now this actually sets up the whole next season, because now Zero is going to be hunted by the vampire society for killing a pureblood that he didn't kill, because they all think that he killed Shizuku, but you can't kill your master. So and so Yuki's like, yeah, there's no way that Zero did it. I know Zero didn't do it. Kaname, you better stick up for him or I'm not going to talk to you. Like, she literally goes on a strike because Kaname doesn't want to stick up for Zero. Now, granted, Kaname should stick up for Zero since he is the reason that Zero is in this predicament in the first place. But because of that, we have this situation that ends up happening. Yuki, once again, sees a child, and she decides she needs to help this child find her parents, but actually the child was a vampire. We're going to talk about the child later. So this ends up with Yuki being in this room at like this vampire event going on, and Kaname's there. And so Kaname's like all up on her because he's upset about her going on strike. So he's like, oh, I need to punish you. So the punishment was she needed to like lay on his lap or something, and I think he like tried to kiss her, and I think he tried to bite her too. Note that he's a pureblood, so if he did do that, she would turn into a vampire herself. So she was so conflicted over that. So going back to the child that she stupidly tried to help, this child is actually going to be the antagonist of the whole show. Now, not the child itself, but the person possessing the child. So one of Kaname's vampires, the guy that has like the red hair, he has a pretty messed up family, and his father is the antagonist. Now he's just possessing the little boy, but his dad's real body was kept in a coffin and he was sleeping, and that's why he was using the little boy's body. I'm gonna explain more in a little bit, but Yuki starts having like these hallucinations of like blood everywhere, like she's going crazy basically. And because of this, she makes it a point to learn about her past. She doesn't know what happened before Kaname saved her, and she feels like if she knows that, it'll make her feel better. So when she tries to seek the answers, everything like burns up as if somebody intentionally tried to hide it from her. So she figures that the only way to know is to ask Kaname, because note to self, Kaname has been manipulating her memories. Literally, she caught him erasing her memories. So she knows that Kaname be hiding stuff from her and that he's not honest with her. So she doesn't really trust him at all. When she finally gets the courage to ask him the truth about what happened to her, he says, if you really want to know, you got to be my girlfriend. Which I feel like that's so like there's so many other ways to get a girl to be with you. Once she becomes his girlfriend, he makes his vampire clan start following her around everywhere she goes. And one, this makes the vampires mad because they don't want to serve a human girl. And two, she's mad because she feels like he's beating around the bush and he's playing games with her when she asked him one simple question that he knows the answer to, and she knows he knows the answer to it, and he doesn't want to answer her. So basically he's gaslighting the hell out of her. So anyway, Yuki's hallucinations, they just keep getting worse and worse. So Kaname ends up turning her into a vampire. But like, here's the gag. He didn't turn her into a vampire. She was always a vampire. In fact, she was a pure-blooded vampire of the Kuron family. The Kuron family. Kaname Kuron. Just keep up with me. Her mother sacrificed her life to give her daughter one as a human to protect her. So Kaname simply awoke the vampire that was already in her, because if he didn't do that, she would have just gone mad and then still turned into a vampire anyway. So he states that he is her brother, which is the part I've always hated because I don't even know why they had to do all that. So for my sanity and for yours too, I'm going to talk about the manga just for like a tiny bit because I did read it. I just briefly remember it. He is not her brother. To my memory, her real brother died at the hands of the antagonist, which is why her mother went to great lengths to make her human because she didn't want to lose another child. And I did miss this like the first time, but on 2 different occasions in the show, he does hint or basically say that he isn't her actual brother. Now, Kaname is really her ancestor, like one of the very first Kuron vampires, which is why among purebloods, he's the strongest. But I feel like if they were just gonna make him like an ancestor or something, like why did they have to label him her brother? Like that doesn't make sense. Like if he isn't her brother, why are you calling your... Especially because when they ended the anime, they just never really explained this part. Their justification is that they're not human, so they don't have like human morals because they're monsters. So whether he's related to her or not, it doesn't actually matter. But I guess that's because in this story, what makes them pure-blooded vampires is that they don't mate outside their bloodline. But I mean, like, you don't really need to do that to be pure-blooded. You would just have to stay with other pure-blooded people. Like, right? Kind of like Harry Potter. Like, wizards stay with wizards and they don't mess with muggles. But that doesn't mean that you need to mess with your family. Like, right? Like, what if Kaname and Shizuku got together? They would still be pure-blooded. Whatever, let's not even wrap my head trying to figure this out.
Okay, so real quick, if we were to apply that same logic to this situation, Shizuku was engaged to the antagonist of the show. So if she's engaged to him, does that mean that they're related? And if they're related, wouldn't that make her related to Kaname and Yuki? But there's no way that she's related to Kaname and Yuki because they would have been said that. So there's like too many plot holes that I don't quite understand that they don't explain.
Anyway, I don't know where Kaname came from, but basically wherever he came from, the antagonist of the show awoke him from his slumber. So for this reason, Kaname cannot kill the antagonist of the show. He has to make Zero do it. So this is why he has been feeding Zero his blood. Also, I did forget to talk about that. Throughout the show, Kaname does give Zero his blood because after he ate Shizuku, it helps Zero, but it doesn't cure Zero. So remember how I said in order for Zero to be a fully fledged vampire, he needs to drink the blood of his master. But his master died before he got the chance to do that, and Kaname ended up killing her. So in drinking Kaname's blood, it helps him, but it doesn't solve the issue because it still has to be from Shizuku. So while he's still alive and while he is very strong, he will die one day of being a level E vampire all the same. It makes no difference. But the reason why Kaname did all of this was because he knew that this day was going to come and he knew that he couldn't kill the antagonist. So Zero has to do it because Zero is a legendary, whatever, hunter twin, and now he's a vampire. So Zero has like a lot of things put in place that makes him stronger. So strong that he can't even like contain the powers that he has. And so back to the antagonist. I don't know his name. That's why I keep calling him the antagonist. But the redheaded evil guy, I really don't know what his name is. He's Yuki's and Kaname's uncle. Now, I guess technically he's not Kaname's uncle, but I don't understand what the reasoning behind this antagonist is, because the way they say it is that this guy went out of his way to kill his nephew, which would have been Yuki's brother, bear with me, which would have been Yuki's brother, and after he killed Yuki's brother, now he wants to kill Yuki, his niece. I don't fully understand why family is trying to kill family. I don't get it. They do a horrible job at explaining it, to be honest. I would assume it's just for like powers and like greed. I don't know. But yes, so essentially the academy grounds will now become the battlefield. So it's not safe for the regular students anymore. So the priority of Yuki and her foster father is to evacuate everyone and protect the school and the people that they hold dear. Which, by the way, her foster father used to be one of the best and most legendary vampire hunters, which I love because he was such a good character and brought good and happy vibes. So to see he was also a very strong character, I was like, yes. So like, yes, because he really was like one of the best characters. Like, hands down, like, he was the comedic relief because there's not a lot of comedy in this show. There's not much of anything in this show. And so Ichiru gives his remaining life to Zero so that they can finally become one, because remember, like, they were supposed to be one, but they weren't. So this makes him even stronger so that he can beat the bad guy. So once they finally beat the bad guy, the school is literally destroyed. So there's no point in going back to how things used to be. Now, Zero loves her too much that he doesn't want to harm her or Kaname, but he vows that one day they will meet as enemies. So whatever, like, don't ask me. So, and she decides that she's going to leave with Kaname even after he done told her that he's her brother. She decided that she loves him anyway, even though he's not her brother, but she thinks that he is, but he's really not. And I don't know why he's pretending. I don't know, man. I don't know. So I heard people who like watch the show and they be like, I hate the show because she chose Kaname. And I mean, like, I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you guys, but she pulled a whole Bella Swan. She pulled an Elena Gilbert. She pulled a Katerina Petronova. She dates them both, and she has children with the both of them. The anime just ends up stopping here, but I reckon you guys won't actually be reading the manga, so I'll just tell you, she dates Kaname and she has his children, but he ends up sacrificing himself to become the heart that fuels vampire weapons. Look, I don't know, I don't really remember why, I just know that that is what he does. So he ends up in like this kind of dead coma-like state. And during that period that he's just dead, she lives her life with Zero, and then she has his kid and she stays with him, and I think until he dies. And then she ends up giving the remaining of her lifespan to Kaname Kuron to give him life as a human. But here's the real gag. I didn't read this far, but I heard that her child with Kaname fell in love with Zero. And I'm just like, what? Now that's just disgusting. Like, this whole thing was disgusting. Like, how does your child fall in love with their lover? Like, isn't that technically your stepdad? Okay, look, I don't know what Alabama, Texas, Colorado mess this show was on, but that's essentially how it ended. Now, do not ask me. Like, I wish we had better anime vampire shows to like watch. This is like one of the very few vampire shows that there is. Now I'm gonna do another video talking about how horrible the love triangle was between Kaname and Kaname, Yuki, and Zero, but that's a show. This is just a summary. Just forget my opinion. Like, I mean, like, at least the characters were pretty. Like, I think if there was nothing else that was really good about this show really wasn't that good. It really wasn't that good. But if there was nothing that I loved about this show, it was the music. Oh my gosh, like the opening for both the seasons and the ending for both the seasons were so good. Like, I could do or the ending. Anyway, if you choose not to watch this show, I completely understand you, but I do recommend you check out the music. Like, just go on YouTube and type in like Vampire Night opening, ending. Like, I will bump those songs till the day I die. Like, that's some good music right there, if they got nothing else, right? But yeah, that's just my take on it. It really wasn't that good looking back on it, but it was the only thing to really watch. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'm gonna peace out. Bye.